Welcome to the English Matura exam with JB Podcast. You know what's fascinating about suffering? Most people try to avoid it at all costs, but this ancient story about Joseph suggests something counterintuitive that our greatest setbacks might actually be setting us up for our most significant breakthroughs.
That's such an interesting perspective to consider, especially when you look at the numbers. 13 years of Joseph's life, from age 17 to 30, spent either as a slave or in prison.
Yes, that's right. However, for those unfamiliar with the story, I'll provide a brief summary. The story of Joseph in the Bible, found in the book of Genesis, chapters 37 to 50, follows the life of Joseph, the favored son of Jacob. His brothers, jealous of their father's favoritism and Joseph's dreams of greatness, sell him into slavery in Egypt. Despite facing numerous hardships, including false accusations and imprisonment, Joseph rises to power by interpreting Pharaoh's dreams, predicting a famine. He becomes the second in command in Egypt and ultimately reconciles with his brothers when they come to Egypt seeking food. The story highlights themes of betrayal, forgiveness, and divine providence. Joseph's journey ultimately leads to the preservation of his family and the fulfillment of God's plan. And here's what makes this story so compelling: it completely challenges our modern notions of justice and fairness. I mean, this guy consistently makes ethical choices and keeps getting punished for them.
It's like a reverse karma situation. The more integrity he shows, the worse things seem to get for him.
Well, what's particularly striking is how he handles each setback. Even in prison, which should have been rock bottom, he ends up basically running the place. The warden put him in charge of everything.
You know what's remarkable about that? It shows this pattern of leadership emerging in the most unlikely circumstances. First in Potiphar's household, then in prison, and finally in Pharaoh's government.
Right? And let's talk about that meteoric rise for a moment. He goes from prisoner to second in command of Egypt in a matter of hours. That's like going from death row to vice president.
The economic implications of his leadership are fascinating too. He essentially created the world's first documented strategic grain reserve system.
Oh man, that's such a good point. He implemented this sophisticated rationing program that saved not just Egypt, but the entire region from a 7 year famine. We're talking about an ancient economic policy that actually worked.
And what's really interesting is how his previous experiences prepared him for this role. Those years managing Potiphar's household and running the prison gave him practical administrative skills.
You know what really gets me? The psychological complexity of when his brothers show up during the famine. Here are these guys who sold him into slavery, now bowing before him just like in his teenage dreams, and they don't even recognize him.
That must have been an incredibly intense moment. How do you even process something like that?
Well, what's fascinating is how he handles it. He has all the power, he could have them executed or enslaved, but instead, he puts them through this elaborate test to see if they've changed.
The emotional intelligence he shows in that situation is remarkable, especially considering how young he was when they betrayed him.
And here's where it gets really profound. When he finally reveals himself, he tells them, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." It's as if he's discovered a deeper purpose behind all his suffering.
That perspective must have taken incredible strength to reach. Most people would have stayed bitter about losing 13 years of their life to false imprisonment.
Exactly. And what's particularly relevant today is how this story addresses power and success. When Joseph finally gains authority, he doesn't use it for revenge or personal gain. Instead, he uses it to save lives.
So, what you're saying is that his suffering actually prepared him to handle power responsibly.
Precisely. And I think that's why this story has endured for thousands of years. It speaks to something fundamental about human resilience and purpose.
And it challenges our modern desire for instant gratification and quick justice. Sometimes the longest detours lead to the most important destinations.
You know, in our current culture of fail fast and pivot quickly, there's something powerful about a story that says sometimes you have to endure the difficult season you're in because it might be preparing you for something you can't yet see.
That's really the heart of it, isn't it? The idea that our current struggles, whatever they might be, could be essential steps toward our ultimate purpose.
And maybe that's the most hopeful message of all, that even our worst moments might be part of a bigger story we can't see yet. That's all for today. Thank you for listening. Take care.